everybody, and welcome to This Week in Gwent. This time straight from CDPR. We have Kungfoorabbit with us. How you doing, my friend?
Hello, doing okay. How about you?
I am good. Like we discussed, we both finished work, so
Yeah.
it's time to relax, talk everything Gwent. And it was something that you mentioned before we went live, is that soon we'll be revealing more things about the upcoming card drop, which is happening a little bit later in the month when it comes to April, since kind of April starts already next week, but then we have like around 2 weeks till we drop the new cards. So there is still some time for people to theorycraft and kind of think about it. But soon we'll be also showing some card reveals, which will be happening. So I'm excited for those. And
Yeah, that's
yeah,
always exciting.
yeah, it's
Always
always
nice.
yeah, it's always a good time when there's more content, and I feel like it's gonna be a cool drop, and then there's more to come this year. So those are gonna be interesting. But yeah, it's been like we were talking. It's been a long day at work, but it's always cool to catch up and talk about everything Gwent. But there's really not much to talk this week in terms of news updates. I think we'll have more things to discuss next week. But the thing that popped up this week is actually something that popped up for The Witcher, which is the low poly pigeon, which has become quite the meme in the community, and it's something that I think a lot of people have picked up. I think it started on Reddit and then it kind of flew off to different places. Haha, flew off. You get it, pigeon.
Yeah, oh,
Great joke.
yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So school of the low poly pigeon, and to be honest, it's a meme that we've been embracing here in the studio. It's a really interesting one, really cool one. So kudos to the community for always picking things up and kind of always having their like a magnifying glass to everything that we do to capture these awesome things. Yeah.
Yeah, community content is what's filling the niche when developers are between cycles of producing content. So you need those.
Exactly,
Uh,
and it's also very surprising because The Witcher came out quite some time ago. I know we're now doing updates for the next gen version, which came out very recently, but still, it's something that you think that most of the things have been already discovered, most of the things have already happened, but here you kind of see that okay, there's always something new. Like once you add a little bit of content or you change something, there are little things that can pop up. Hopefully the good things, but also you get like some performance issues, some small bugs, some things that need to be fixed and ironed out. But still, it's good to see some new content from the community.
yeah, you need only like a small seed planted, and
Yeah,
that can be dragged throughout like a week or two,
true.
occasionally even longer. So.
Yeah, and
Low poly week pigeon for this week was a picture that I've seen probably like 5 6 times in my feed and on
yeah,
Reddit. So
yeah. It's funny because our employees posted it and went through the Witcher game Twitter account, so it started getting more and more traction. But always cool to see stuff like that. But we're here to kind of switch back and talk about Gwent. And I wanted to ask, when did you discover Gwent and when did you start playing Gwent for the first time?
well, Witcher 3 was my entry
Mm-hmm.
to Witcher universe. I haven't read book beforehand,
Okay.
so I've seen all the praise to Witcher 3, and
Mm-hmm.
I think by the time I picked it up, like the full trilogy, all DLCs were out as well. So I picked up the whole thing and started playing Witcher 3.
Okay.
Gwent as a mini game is perfect addition to like get between fights with monsters, between questing and watching cinematics. So that piqued my interest, and then I've heard that it's happening,
Mm-hmm.
like the online version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't played Hearthstone. I haven't played any of the card games online.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe by that time, I
Okay.
don't remember. Slay the Spire maybe was
Okay.
out, but
But
I
that's
haven't
different,
really.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it was something with doing with cards, but yeah, inside of a Witcher. So I was looking for a code, then got one, got to the closed beta by that time. So
Mm-hmm.
I played. a bit, but then, well, I was a student uh, doing my master's, I think, by that time, and well, the focus shifted a bit, so I
Yeah.
returned about midwinter update
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
and been playing
interesting.
ever since. So, well, I haven't experienced Rimde as a leader or things like that myself too much because, well, I haven't had full collection. I was
Mm-hmm.
playing some games for feeling it, so I couldn't roll anything, but a lot of fun times even there, even in closed beta when you were just trying to pick up where is it going as an online game
Mm-hmm.
compared to single player Gwent. But yeah, ever since Witcher 3, well, I played other games and I read the book now, so a
Okay.
lot of great times with the franchise.
It's interesting that you started with the games. When it comes to Gwent itself, like a lot of people start from Witcher 3, then they move on to the online version of the game. But do you remember what kind of piqued your interest when you were playing Witcher 3 and you saw Gwent there as a mini game? Did you discover it in a sense that um, you simply some of the merchants or someone asked you to play Gwent and you tried it for the first time, or did you like discover it when you learned about Witcher and kind of that Gwent is there and kind of plays a very big and interesting role in the game? Like, what was your first introduction to it?
I think it's White Orchard where you first
Mm-hmm.
play, and then I was like, oh, it starts to pop up different merchants. So I
Mm-hmm.
started doing those quests, looking for like traders who sell cards,
Yeah.
and then I was like, ah, and well, the game picks up giving you
Mm-hmm.
quests, so you just start rolling with that. I didn't really focus on, oh, I must collect all the cards before play, but I was doing them and usually play like in sections. Oh, now we can pick up like several Gwent cards, and now I can do the boxing and
Mm-hmm.
racing maybe,
Yeah.
and then main quests or some other side quests. So, yeah, it really intrigued me from the first introduction. Well, I wasn't aware that that's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
The mini game, like I knew basically nothing about Witcher universe. I've seen the praise about the content
Yeah.
there is. The I've seen probably cinematics, and
Mm-hmm.
before buying, I definitely checked some trailers and maybe gameplay video. But
Okay.
it looked beautiful, and maybe it showed Gwen there, but that wasn't the main selling point. Well, but when I've seen a game within a game, it was kind of mind blowing because a lot of those mini games,
Mm-hmm.
like Bioshock and others,
Mm-hmm.
lock picking is the mini game, which is usually pretty annoying. Like
Yeah, you need
it
to like
doesn't give
puzzles.
you something to do that. Puzzles of some sort, like okay, but
Mm-hmm.
there you have like a fully fledged game. Well, the depth of Gwent nowadays is definitely leaps better, but
No.
the basic, like for single player content, it's amazing. That's the source of all the comments of CDPR. Why didn't you release my Gwent in a state like it's in Witcher 3? Yeah, but you
Good
need
luck.
progress, you need
Yeah.
improvements.
Yeah, I think the way I've always mentioned this like numerous times, if we released it in the same way as it was in The Witcher 3, like I feel like a lot of people would, pretty much be playing only Nilfgaard with spies that you can bounce with decoy all the time and just fill up your
Well,
hand, like try your whole deck, and then whoever plays better kind of wins, but it's like the same strategy over and over and over again.
it's a game that you can solve for single player,
Yeah.
and well, you need to change the deck consistency somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also something that you mentioned. Like the game needs to be, balanced in a way where if you collect the good cards in it, you pretty much very quickly become like OP in the game, and it's good because that's the point. But if you want to take that and transition that into multiplayer, that's very difficult to do. So it's not something that you can just plug and play and then say, okay, this is for sure gonna work, because you later on turns out that, well, maybe it's not actually going to work 100%. So yeah, I remember we were going through like the first iterations of the game, like we had it like 1-to-1, But then when we started playtesting amongst each other and back and forth, it was just yeah, it was a spy game. So yeah,
Yeah, nothing you can do. Like the cards were printed there for that exact reason, for you to get the advantage over the NPCs and
yeah,
show those great cards, the gold ones, but you kind of get carried by Neil Guardian spies of I think NR also had some spies,
no.
so yeah.
Yeah, NR was very, very good, and Nilfgaard and kind of, but still, I feel like Nilfgaard was a little bit better because he could also
Mhm.
bounce the NR spies and
Yeah,
have their own spies and kind of do like a
yeah.
back
So
and forth. But very good to decks. So you started there, then you read the books, you started playing Gwent. It's interesting that you joined later on after Homecoming because yeah, there is kind of a lot of things that you probably didn't have like this like
wait,
comparison like you
wait. Did I say Homecoming? Oh,
yes
I
oh no
think
midwinter
I Midwinter is
midwinter
what I said.
sorry
I think so.
so I mixed it up sorry.
I still missed a fair chunk of like
Hmm.
closed beta transition to open
Yeah,
beta, but well,
yeah, and also
I
midwinter.
think it was studies and Rocket League that was
Hmm.
filling my time. So
Yeah, also midwinter wasn't our best update as far as I remember. There were a lot of mixed
for,
opinions about it.
my position for that was always as a new player that doesn't know the top side of the meta.
Hmm.
It was still fun to collect your cards
Hmm.
and play on like lower ranks.
Yeah,
Getting any gold to your collection was like, oh, I can utilize that. Of course, when your focus shifts to, oh, I want to win every game and I want to play the best game decks, then yeah, you can look at
yeah,
it for on a different light.
yeah.
But for that time, first like 3 4 months when I was playing, even if we had that stretch where no content transition to
Hmm.
Homecoming, it was still fun for a new player. Of course, for people who maybe played for a year
Yeah,
continuously, it became like stale after a while
yeah,
because yeah, but still meta was like changing in that period of time. Somehow community content came through even in the game where cards
true.
weren't changed for a couple of months.
Yeah, but there was a lot of an RNG kind of that was introduced with Midwinter,
Mm.
which I think was the thing that gave us kind of a lot of this flag coming from community people saying like, oh,
Mm.
the game used to be less RNG heavy, like there's too much RNG in it, and I kind of agree. Like we always position ourselves as a game that takes a lot of skill and doesn't rely on randomness in order to carry out good plays. So I understand that a lot of people kind of felt like, oh man,
Well,
I don't
yeah,
really want to. I don't want really want to be doing this, right?
yeah. If you've been playing for months and
Yeah.
then it changes with create keyboard, maybe carrying it a bit too far for their
Yeah.
liking, I can understand people tuning out. That's that's how it went. Okay,
Yeah.
nothing to be.
What was your take on RNG like overall in card games? Are you a proponent of limited RNG or kind of like less RNG? Like what's your feel about this?
No, limited is controlled RNG is
Mhm.
okay, but the some of the cards I can see being like broken beyond belief in that sense that sometimes it high rolls, it makes for a nice highlight, flashy highlight that you might like as a viewer, but if you like see it a bit too often, then it becomes
Yeah.
rather annoying from both player and viewer standpoint. Like if you are rooting for someone in the tournament
Mhm.
and you see them getting rolled by maybe that one exact card that comes from another card that can be
Mhm.
played for value, even if it's low rolls. So yeah, not a big fan of those cards, but I can understand that you need the variety. Uh, I can see in the recent couple of card drops, you guys introduced things like Magic Compass,
Mhm.
things like Military Temple that actually like create those underused cards,
Mhm.
which is well, you can roll with Military Temple some like double Viraxis and another dual unit, which might feel a bit too broken, but at the same time, it opens routes for some underutilized cards to see their way into the meta,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't really oppose. Okay, one of the current cards that sometimes gets used as him,
Yes.
Heim monster,
Mm-hmm.
because, well, Syndicate is playing 18-point body, and you don't really want to play him in your deck like a naked card, but creating it from Compass,
It's fine.
occasional like awareness, it's nice to see. So yeah, those cards that were introduced, they might be on a like scale of balance sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them probably got nerfed before, but at the same time, they open up routes for those for that card pool of cards that maybe doesn't go into the pro ladder deck, so to say. For people who try to climb, well,
Mm-hmm.
it still shows that the cards can be used, but under like narrow window of opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really mind those types of cards.
Yeah, it's limited RNG in terms of what the outcome can be, and like you said, some things can high roll or low roll, but still kind of the it's if it's kept to a certain extent where it doesn't get out of hand, it doesn't go too crazy. I think it's more than
Mhm. Yeah, not a big fan of Rune Mage into a meal from Nilfgaard, like available to any faction. If we're
Yeah,
honest, but yeah, that kind of RNG. Well, it will rolls pretty often, but when it hits and doesn't cost you too much, like
yeah.
if you're playing Rune Mage to just spread your options from 3 to 5, and you see, Nilfgaard. And, well, I'm still losing this round. Why not take Kingslayer?
Mm-hmm.
Those ones, honestly, not my favorites, but once again, the card was created for like expanding options,
Yeah.
creating some other routes of playing the game, uh, making Shoop consistent. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a card that tends to make another somewhat limited RNG card more consistent. I think we've seen Shinmiri play only exclusively Shoop decks in the
Yes.
past, ever since Rune Mage was in the game.
Yeah, we were hoping that once Rune Mage is introduced, that people will pick up Shoop, and everybody that played Shoop at that time, kind of when they saw Rune Mage, they're like, "Oh, this is going to be a nice inclusion for Shoop decks," and that's where he found his home. You're very knowledgeable of Gwent. When did you start like getting more of this knowledge? And I know you also did casting and things like that. So how did your journey kind of go on from when you started playing to where you are now? Kind of how can you like shed like kind of show us the story step by step, more or
Okay.
less?
I picked up Gwent. Uh, well, I started streaming it 2019. The challenger that Magpie won.
Mm-hmm.
The one where Freddy, I think, brought Angulim for lineup
Yeah.
to everyone's surprise.
Yeah.
So a couple of days before that, I was like, might as well, if I'm playing, stream it. But before that, I started watching tournaments like this Skellige Village that you did
Yes.
for
Challenger
the
number
one of
4.
the challengers. I've already been watching.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so around that time, I'd say I started to visit Twitch
Mm-hmm.
and following the pro scene, at least some bits of it. But ever since I started streaming, you kind of try to play good decks or try
Yeah.
to get the wins and good results. So uh, from there, it went to playing ladder,
Mm-hmm.
trying to reach high MMR or like at least watch some better players than myself to pick up some lines. And then, well, if I was streaming and there was some tournament to watch, why not to watch it with the audience and
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, did some casting, but just with some friends
Mm-hmm.
from the channel and from the community. But yeah, recently we casted one of the qualifiers with
Yeah.
Celia, which
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. Uh, So yeah, the progress has been made throughout the years
Yeah,
to reach that.
it's really cool.
And well, I never really climbed too high on the ladder. I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember what's my highest position, but nothing like in top 64 or
Mm-hmm.
top 100. Never really tried to grind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. I usually don't like to spam too many games
Yeah, I get that.
uh, because, well, even if you are reaching those heights, you still to need occasionally to grind the ladder to solidify your position, so to
Yeah.
say. Early MMR numbers don't really mean much when you know that. Well, I'm not competing, but you know that Fireball is putting 600 MMR on the last like 3 hours somehow
Yeah, yeah.
out of nowhere.
The last final push that he does is just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, so I knew that I won't be capable of grinding
That
even
much.
if I'm like close into top 64 position. So I kind of just chill and just try to reach whatever I can reach.
No, that's really cool. Yeah, you can like from what you described just now, like you can really see the progress, and has been constantly growing and kind of forging your own path. Was it hard to start streaming in the beginning? Like, did you because normally a lot of people started streaming more or less in the pandemic time, or they started streaming because once they started playing the game, they're like, oh, I feel like I'm pretty good at this, maybe it's time to stream it. Did you stream anything before, or was this just your kind of entryway? And
No, Gwent was my entryway.
mm-hmm.
I think first stream I had, maybe second. Yeah, maybe second. I got Trinet host immediately. So
Nice,
I,
that's a
I
good start.
I was a regular in Trinet stream as well. So some people followed immediately. So I got that first group. It's usually like, well, depends on streamer's luck, but occasionally it's hard to get your first 5 viewers to stick and
Yeah,
come to keep you
yeah.
company, and then you're streaming and there is like silence in the chat, and well, you feel like, well, it's nice because I'm still playing the game, so if somebody comes, I'll have like company to chat and
Yeah.
maybe discuss plays. But yeah, the Trinet host on the first second stream was very helpful in that regard. And then like the community of Gwent is not the largest on Twitch, but it still has the support. You still get the support, and
Yeah.
the channels, like the streamers, speak between themselves, and community moves from channel to channel. You can meet people like in Gwen category. Uh, well, especially as you mentioned, pandemic. So I started a
Yeah.
bit earlier than pandemic. Well, I didn't know what was coming,
Yeah.
but
No one did, unfortunately.
but yeah, by the time it hit, I already streamed for like months, and well, there was not much to do outside of outside, so
Mm-hmm.
nothing was open, so
Yeah.
put a bit more hours into the
I
grind,
I
but
remember those
everyone
times.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then casting the qualifier recently with Sealy, that must have been really cool because she's very experienced when it comes to casting and stuff like that. So was it also like a learning experience for you, the first one, or how was that for you for the like
Yeah,
doing this
there
cast?
is definitely a difference between casting on your stream
Yeah.
live, just talking, taking routes away from what's
Mm-hmm.
happening on the screen, and then there is like a more official style of casting. So yeah, Silly is definitely knowledgeable in that regard. So it was nice to have the experienced partner, and also if you need to take a break from speaking, well, yeah, second caster is
Yeah.
definitely of help compared to just chatting on your stream with the audience. So that was nice. We actually casted Team Creeps League semifinals a
Mm-hmm.
couple of months prior to that
That's good.
qualifier
That was nice
for
preparation for it.
mid season. So yeah, that was a nice preparation. Yeah, it would be nice to have more tournaments coming. in the like mid-season tourney, and
Mm-hmm.
more qualifiers coming. So more Gwent content, and hopefully there will be a last hurrah of team-based tournaments and
Yeah.
community-based tournaments with the shift in meta. Like before the community balancing comes,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully afterwards something will happen, but that's that depends. But yeah,
Yeah.
this year I hope to see more competitive Gwent, and would be nice to be part of it, either as a player maybe occasionally
Mm-hmm.
or a caster.
Yeah. I've also saw when I had Arya here with me. I think the last one that I did. She was saying that her and Lionheart are still planning to do some community-driven tournaments for Gwent when it comes to moving into 2024. So for sure there'll be some things going on, since tournament platform and all that will be still working and usable, and still, like you said, there will be community balance happening all the time. So the possibility to organize tournaments will still, of course, be there. Yeah, I'm also excited to see kind of where the game goes after 2024. So we'll be kind of peeking behind the curtain, seeing like what's going on. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you mentioned, more stuff coming this year. Like plus, once we start adding new cards, I feel like the meta will be influenced in some way. We'll be seeing some changes in terms of like the decks that people are playing, and kind of the archetypes that are kind of coming back maybe. So it's gonna be interesting. I know you're also following the pro circuit, especially the recent qualifiers that we had. So that's also really cool.
Yeah. The meta kind of tournament meta felt more or less the same. There is a variety of decks,
Mm-hmm.
but people kind of figured out what lineups they are bringing in terms of
Yeah.
targeting. So one tournament you see everyone just silently agreeing, okay, we are playing with keeping knights in mind, so
Mm-hmm.
everyone is trying to target an R. And next it's like, okay, let's bring coated weapons, cloak the magic compass players, and Skellige. So let's counter that. I like how like the pro scene between teams, between like players who play on their own, just silently agree. Okay, it's time for a change because last time this was popular. Let's try to take another angle now. And then we just seen the qualifiers. Kaneki qualifying, well, accidentally putting a wrong card into his deck. That was incredible. He managed to put Ethereal into his Squirtle deck,
Yeah.
instead of Brehan, they have like some similar color scheme, and they are adjacent in to one another in deck builder. So he clicked. We informed him when we've seen like lineups for the qualifiers, but it was too late for him to change. The decks were submitted, and he managed to win. So
Yeah.
Ethereal is kind of broken, turns out. If you misclick, you just go there. It
Yeah.
has a, like, it was funny. We've seen his lineup, and there was still some time for the second day of qualifiers to start. So everyone started theory crafting what you can do with this Ethereal. Card hasn't been in meta for like year and
For
a half,
yeah, a long time.
so a long time. And then people are playing Fall City. You can turn that into Ethereal, so
Yeah.
that's broken. And you're playing Chameleons in this deck, so you can bounce Chameleon several times. It
Yeah.
goes to one next to Ethereal immediately. So that was kind of funny to see on his channel and in Discord. People just trying to solve the problem of the wrong card in the deck builder.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, if you make a mistake, you gotta make it work somehow. And turns out, actually, Ethereal was one of those cards that hey, actually works. I saw you also posting after the tournament about it on your Twitter, so it was funny to see.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like it wasn't a card that won't hit the qualifiers, but it added that little
Yeah,
extra for people to remember it. That's
true.
certain.
Did you ever have yourself like a favorite card or a favorite meta that you kind of gravitated towards too?
Well, I played a lot of Shiro. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably. If you
Nice.
start like scrolling through my YouTube, there are probably months where every second video is just Shiro
Shiro.
video because it was underplayed. Now it's like one of the, maybe not this season, but even this season, it's still like one of the kings for the
Mm-hmm.
Squirtle deck,
Yeah.
doing the heavy lifting ever since Guerrilla Tactics leader
Yeah.
got like changed for making the Shiro reach 12 and 30, 15 and scenario, like all those things working in favor of my favorite card is nice to see, but now everyone is playing him. So
Yeah.
it's nice
Too
to see.
mainstream now.
It's mainstream, but it's still nice to see the card and card's effect. Well, it also got buffed, and he now survives
Mm-hmm.
his fire play.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite cards in terms of meta. mm, When okay, probably Monster Swarm, either with rats or with
Okay.
drones is another one.
Mm-hmm.
That's both for the homecoming. Those two, like
Yeah.
monsters, putting a lot of small bodies onto the board and then using yen or their
Mm-hmm.
own
To buff
tools,
them.
buffing everything. It was always fun. So that's more of a solitaire deck, so to say, compared to Shiro, where you need to basically playing Shiro felt with Precision Strike and other cards around it, like a
Yeah.
mini puzzle, where you have this one round where you need to bet on what your opponent gonna be playing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was pretty easy with Warriors. They
Mm-hmm.
had just bunch of same sized
So, yeah.
units. You
Much
don't
easier
have
to
to make a
counter.
call, but when you're playing against Nilfgaard, which has like damage and buff,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of needed to make a call. So that's that aspect, that's angle of like, I'm playing a mini game. I need to solve this puzzle now. Let's go. Plus the visual effects for something like Shiro are
Yeah, it's
amazing to
cool.
see.
Especially when you
Like
land
that.
like a very big Shiro, like you get a lot of points off the board.
Yeah, when you see the Ethereals and Leapy players as your opponents, you were pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Okay, a big click can come in. Uh, Good for streaming content as well
True.
when you try to
Especially for
evaporate.
YouTube, for like short videos that you just flashy plays and stuff like that.
And well, I recently picked Galactus in Marvel Snap, so it has similar effect of like, oh, let's try to destroy most of the board and
Yeah.
see where it leads us. So
He's actually one of those cards that I don't have and I really want because it's an interesting card to play around. Like you said, the effect is super flashy because everything gets destroyed out of nowhere, and it kind of shows who Galactus is as a comic book character, which is really cool. Yeah, nice, nice. What about faction wise? Like you were trying different factions, right? It wasn't like there was one
yeah,
faction which you kind of stuck to.
I think throughout beta times it
Mm-hmm.
was mostly Nilfgaard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, that's like the last those archetypes I listed were mainly for Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
For better times it was Nilfgaard reveal. I don't know. Revealing stuff felt funny.
Yeah, it was.
You get to reveal cards and see the way you lose.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, it wasn't the most powerful archetype. You had better ones for Nilfgaard, soldiers and spies
Yeah.
and all that. But revealing the way you lose and try to mitigate that felt like once again a bit of cheating, seeing everyone
Yeah.
like half of the cards in your opponent's list. It got
Just
to
gameplay wise, it was different. It was because you know it's visually and mechanically it was a different thing than what you had for previous factions in the games. Like they didn't have the ability to actually, you know, flip cards and kind of see. And I remember the synergy of Spotter was kind of there, but like you said, the deck wasn't very competitive at that time, so that was kind of its problem.
well.
But it was interesting to play from a gameplay
They
perspective.
managed to make it semi-competitive somehow with reveals and like what was it, Olaf?
Yeah.
Was there oh, one
Whoa.
of the cards
There
anyway
was a card,
was
yeah.
utilizing a big body
Mm-hmm.
in Nilfgaard, like Olaf. It wasn't Nilfgaard card,
Tibor.
but yeah, some decks made it even to like competitive scene,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, using some of the reveal mechanics. And yeah, where is the what's his name? Henry Varatre, I think, was the card that also had the keyword conceal. That
Yes.
was he. That was a disappointment from me not seeing him back in Homecoming. I always hoped that he'll return because but he was probably too worried about his daughters. So we've never seen him again.
Yeah.
One of those cards that I kind of couple of expansions when you've seen the topic of expansion I was like you can work him somehow, but then he wasn't one of the cards
Yeah.
revealed, so
Yeah. Things changed in the meantime, and some things kind of fell off the map.
yeah. But yeah, a lot of great cards coming
Yeah.
anyways, and well, it was nice to see the return of like leader abilities in form of cards as
Mm-hmm.
well. So not everyone returned, but most of them did,
Yeah.
and well, let's be honest, Henry Varatra is not the main character of like most storylines. So
True. True. He's
I
not
think
mentioned a lot.
maybe I'm like one of 10 people who actually remembers
Remembers
that
him.
he kind of disappeared from
Yeah.
Gwent. And he was there, so not
Speaking
a
of
big deal.
characters, did you have any characters that kind of stood out to you when you were reading the books? When you actually, once you played the game, you said you moved on to the books. Were there any characters that kind of, you kind of liked or identified with, or I don't know, just enjoyed from the books themselves? And then in Gwent, or maybe also in The Witcher, because I have this thing that whenever like I go back to replaying Witcher, because I first played Witcher, I read the books before, so Witcher was kind of the place where I saw those characters kind of brought to life for the first time, which is this, oh my god, these characters, now I know how they look like. Maybe they look a little bit different than what I imagined when I was reading the book, but now I kind of have like this solid base and a face that I can kind of stick to and relate to. um, and then Gwent came out, and it was funny because I played Gwent a lot, and then I recently also started playing a little bit more Witcher after the next gen update, and I'm like, wow, there's so many lines taken from The Witcher and Gwent, of the characters, things that they say, that I didn't like figure this connection out, because it's been already some time since I played Witcher, but now when I go back from Gwent to Witcher, I kind of see it. But it's also the characters that were introduced with Gwent. There's a lot more characters that we maybe didn't show or didn't explore in the Witcher games, and we get to see them for the first time as Gwent art, as Gwent cards. So also you kind of associate them with the cards. So I imagine now if I went back and started reading the books again, I would probably imagine the characters through their Gwent art. So I wanted to kind of know what was your perspective when you kind of played the game and then you read the books, and first of all, if any characters stood out to you, and what was kind of the association between the characters and the games for you.
Uh, I don't know. It's something to think about. Well, the Witchers, all the Witchers and Kaer was like a special setting in the game.
Yeah.
A lot of main big things happened as well. You started there, so Witchers probably as a category of those main characters and side characters in Kaer be honest, I was more focused on like the world
Mm-hmm.
itself, the the Valen being what it is, the war-ridden territories, and then you have like the city nearby that is, well, yeah, there is a lot of soldiers, but a lot
Yeah.
of life happening. And then you get to Skellige. I was mesmerized. Like I I reached the Skellige. I didn't know what to expect. For how long can you go into Skellige? And then you can just wander there. There are
Yeah.
mountains, snow, like water. Uh, some areas there are no villages, but
Mm-hmm.
like one of the big monsters. So like flying monsters, dracanoids, all
Mm-hmm.
those where you first notice it, it was like, ah, okay, that's what I'm up to. And the music there is also very
Yeah.
beautiful. So yeah, I'm a sucker for those settings and
Mm-hmm.
locations more than the characters. But as you mentioned, like I played Witcher mostly before going to Gwent. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you picked up some voice lines, but now if I go back and replay it, and I did some of the parts,
Mm-hmm.
like I restarted and played 4 hours, but never finished second playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like play DLCs, so you see those cross references between voice lines and
Mm-hmm.
some of the characters. You notice something on the card art relating to the game, maybe. So yeah, that's nice to have like them books and
Yeah.
games and like different games as well. There are three Witchers, hopefully more to come. I'm waiting for that next piece in my collection, so to say, the board game based on Witcher.
Yeah, Old
That is,
World, the board game. Yeah.
yeah, Old World is. Well, it's been a couple of years now, but it's like month two away from
Yeah.
ending up distributed. So COVID played some role in that as
Yeah.
well.
For sure.
It's the effects, even if we are like past the press peak, we are not done with COVID. So
Yeah.
even like the production was still halted last year.
Yeah, I
So
think we're still kind of influencing like the COVID time has left like a longer lasting influence in terms of like anything like production lines and cost of electronics and also production kind of, you really think about it like if something stops for some time, it's not like it's just going to automatically pick up and there's going to be a lot of things being made the same way they are because there was a period of time where things were not happening. So you need to take that into account. But it's also interesting that you mentioned the universe and the world building because it's something that for me was always interesting, like especially in the books the descriptions of places are done fairly like well, like Andrzej Sapkowski has really built the world in a way where you're able to kind of imagine how things look and then the game kind of brings them to life, which for me was also incredible because things that I kind of saw and kind of remembered from reading the books when I was younger, seeing it in the game later on was like, wow, this is really cool, and it's kind of this, association that you have with this kind of pool that is there, that kind of catches your interest.
yeah, it's the same with something like Dune as well.
Yeah.
Like I read like I love me a good sci-fi movie. So before the movie came, I was like, Dune seems like something you'd want to. I haven't watched the old one,
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, I probably want to know more about it
Yeah.
from the reader standpoint before watching a movie. And then yeah, it also delivered on the visuals and the
Mm-hmm.
story. Like yeah, some aspects were changed, but not nothing that really ruined my experience as a viewer,
Mm-hmm.
because well, it's usually that a movie doesn't really live up to expectations. Well, there are some things that I change or like to introduce, but you can. It's already like 3 hours long,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
only so much longer you can stand it. So I was happy with the quality and yeah, Witcher. Like you can compare the books and the games that created. Some locations were completely new, others were
Yeah.
like described. So
I'm happy
that's
that you mentioned Dune because for me it's also a great example of a world which was created by Herbert. Of course, there's also a lot of books that kind of they get very like into the Atreides family, the Harkonnens, and also to the to the people that are kind of are there on the planet and kind of the political thing, but also the kind of espionage that is also there and all these little kind of intricate things that are in the story. Like I'm just excited just to see more stuff, but it's also very hard to have all those things, because if you think
Yeah.
about how complex Dune and how complex the story is and how long it is, it would need to be a lot of movies, and they would have to be super long to have all that stuff in them.
Yeah, that's why in the past like 15 years we see more and more like heavy budgeted TV shows as well,
Yeah,
which often works but
yeah,
often also falls flat. So it's not really a recipe. Oh, let's take some saga. Like it's gonna be amazing as a show. A
yeah,
lot of things need to click together. Like Game of Thrones is a great example of both sides of that as well.
yes,
Starting like out of nowhere, like people should be very happy who read the Martin books like 20 years ago and well longer probably as well.
yeah,
And then it gets like it picks up the popularity and everyone's interest. Must have been amazing. Like
yeah.
you guys only learned about it yesterday, and I've been waiting for 20 years for that
To
to
become
come
a
to like
thing.
to the
Yeah,
screen. Yeah. So there are a lot of still books that are not really brought to life with cinema as well.
yeah.
Like I'd love to see something like Sanderson's Mistborn world come
Oh,
to life.
oh, that'd
So
be
Brandon
interesting.
Sanderson, that's like, hmm, especially the original trilogy, three books.
Hmm.
But you can imagine that making all that like
That'll
on
be a
screen
couple
will,
seasons of a TV show.
yeah, it's better that as a TV show most likely. But yeah, as you mentioned, the politics, all those like small aspects
Hmm.
getting mentioned. It's nice to see, but yeah, you cannot in a 3 hour movie focus on them for too long because well, majority of the viewers probably also want that action and
Yeah,
the great locations and not people talking behind sitting behind the tables and just discussing some details that only few viewers know.
yeah.
So I can understand
It's
why
less
things.
flashy and less interesting to the modern person that is kind of, grew up on the Fast and Furious and kind of expects that from from a movie. I'm not saying that everybody does that,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's much harder to sell these things in a movie, because you're kind of limited in terms of like budget, how long the
yeah.
script is, time frame also, like there's only limits in terms of how many hours you can probably sit in the cinema watching something, and it's, if you have multiple things, it's very hard to kind of try to squeeze them into a movie. But yeah, like you said, with a TV show, it's much easier to do. Plus I feel like, there's more and more adaptations, when it comes to books, when it comes to video games also, and things like that. So, hopefully we'll be seeing more cool stuff coming out in the future. And I also like that, the things that are being created now are, maybe some people are already tired of this, also are kind of, taking stuff from, like, like you said, 20 or 30 even years ago, and now, showing them today.
Yeah.
So you kind of get the nostalgia feeling for people who have experienced these things before, but you also have like the possibility for younger generations who maybe, I don't know, didn't play a game or didn't read a book or didn't experience this before, to kind of experience it for the first time. So that's really cool. And I feel like Dune is one of those great examples, because the movie is visually, it's very stunning. Of course, there were some shortcuts when it comes to the plot, but still, I feel like it gives a good view of what is in the books, and it should actually push people to read the books. And I remember I read the books when I was younger, but I didn't remember much. I
Mhm.
watched the movie, and then I went back and reread all the books, and also some of the, like, just like the Harkonnen book, or just like some stories that happened, what later happens to Paul. Like, these are all very interesting, and there's a lot of them. Of course, after Herbert kind of finished his, there was his son started taking and doing
Yeah.
more stuff. So I also started going into those, but that's like venturing even deeper into the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I kind of finished how many? Three books at the
Yeah.
moment. Didn't go deeper because it started losing me a bit. Well,
It
some of
gets
the
more
lore aspects.
convoluted at the end.
Yeah. So I'm kind of taking a break. The next book's purchased or gifted to me, but
Yeah,
haven't read the next one. So
nice,
God of Emperor of Dune is awaiting somewhere.
nice.
Not a big priority, but like the first book, I definitely would recommend everyone to check out.
Sure.
And like it's your personal opinion. After that, do you want to continue? But the world building and setting is just amazing for
No,
this
no.
first one, and it already lived up. Like a lot of stories, you feel like ending on cliffhangers.
Mm-hmm.
This one, well, you can say that sure it ends on something that can be prolonged another book or three or five,
Yeah,
and well, it was, but even like finishing the first book already get a lot.
yeah, yeah. And I agree with you. Like it's there are a couple interesting plot twists in it. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend. Um, Now I want to kind of go back to the card games because you mentioned that Gwent was one of the first like digital ones. Did you play any physical card games ever? Like Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, anything like that?
No, I
Okay.
never really had been part of the community
Mm-hmm.
that had. I am pretty sure, being from Estonia, it's and not being from like a capital city,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably not very feasible to set up a MTG
Oh,
community in a
true.
small town. While cards are also kind of costing a lot, so yeah, haven't really seen anyone play in my like friend circles. Well, I checked later. Yeah, the things are happening in the capital and like the student city, but I really haven't played any of those physical board games. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
board games of some sort, but like not the collectible board games where you
Mm-hmm.
need to like buy packs.
Yeah.
So nothing like that. So yeah, I started playing Gwent. I tried checking out Magic and Runeterra,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I and Hearthstone as well. But I
Mm-hmm.
think I played like hour of each and didn't really like continue with them because I've seen them and I felt like Gwen still has something to offer to me.
Mm-hmm.
And well, it's usually taxing to play multiple online games and
Yeah.
keeping up with meta. So I was happy with Gwent. And well, when Marvel Snap came out on mobile, I waited for official release here
Mm-hmm.
in Europe. So started playing that, but. Uh, well, I mentioned Galactus. I just like returned playing in the past couple of weeks, but
Mm-hmm.
before I also took like 3 4 month break. So to be fair, I also play far less Gwent recently,
Mm-hmm.
like with work and stuff,
Yeah.
and also this winter period kind of sucked some of the energy,
I
like
have to agree.
no sun and all that.
This was a weird winter because I feel like everybody that I know and also me, I feel like this was a winter that really went in hard. Like it really took a lot of energy. I don't know if it was the fact that it was quite cold and that the weather wasn't good and it still isn't like very good. Maybe that's kind of the
It's snow
fact.
in there, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, but yeah, I have this totally same feeling. Like the winter really took a lot of energy from us. And yeah, since you're from Estonia, I'm from Poland. We're not very far away from each other. Like I also mentioned, I've been to Estonia multiple times, which is like freaking like I've been to Tallinn mainly, but Tallinn is so freaking beautiful. As especially I don't know for me it was because it's different architecture and different look and
Old
different
Town
city.
is amazing,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Old Town. If someone like knew how to really like shoot a good movie, they could shoot such a great movie there because the scenes and the places there are just freaking incredible.
Yeah, there is like some Estonian produced movie
Mm-hmm.
about the medieval times that they like shoot 3 or 4 of them. So
Mm-hmm.
some of them are set in like old, which is pretty nice to see
Yeah.
on the screen. I haven't watched all of them, but we went for the first one in cinema, and yeah, that was a pleasure. And also well, it wasn't shot in the old town. The Nolan's Tenet was partially made
Yeah.
in Estonia, but that was used for like this channel road
Mm-hmm.
from living quarters to the city center.
Yeah.
They just needed straight road with nothing on it. I don't
That's
know how
it.
Estonia got picked, but yeah. So it's the beginning of the movie and the car chase part of Tenet was made in Estonia. So it was
Nice.
kind of funny. Not many productions, companies are coming here to
Yeah.
shoot big movies, especially.
Yeah, but for sure, it's a nice location, an interesting location. I remember being there, and also I remember the food was good. That's also one thing, and I feel like the food always in countries like Baltic countries is very hearty, especially for people who, live very close to, really close to water because it's always cold as hell and it's windy.
Yeah.
Nice. What are your plans for the future? To kind of, because it's like 4 minutes till we pretty much wrap up. What are your plans kind of for the future? Like, what do you want to do this year and beyond? Do you see like when it comes to content creation, streaming? Of course, if work kind of allows you to do something different, maybe do some variety streaming. Like, what's the plan right now?
At the moment, when I can stream or feel like streaming, it's gonna be Gwent and beyond like 2024. I don't know if I'm streaming once per week, then I might as well stream Gwent for now.
Yeah.
No big plans to move. Uh, I tried playing Snap on stream, kinda didn't feel it. Maybe I'll
Mm-hmm.
attempt once again. Maybe something else. I think some Disney game is incoming as well
Lorcana.
later this year. Yeah, so might look at that. No idea. Uh, I don't feel that me streaming shooter, so any like fast-paced games is
Yeah.
doing anyone any favors. So I'll probably, if content creation continues, it's gonna be something card games, strategy games, or like turn-based games.
Okay. Cool.
In terms of like speaking of work, I'll
Mm-hmm.
finally, hopefully, gonna move with the PhD, finishing the thesis and to doing
Nice.
the defense because I'm
Mm-hmm.
like several years overdue. So at the moment, I have this gap in work where I can focus on that partially. So hopefully, that's gonna happen.
Nice. That sounds really good. PhD. That's very ambitious.
Yeah, I have a very good example of my wife doing it more or less in time where I
Mm-hmm.
was supposed to do, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm like 3 years late, 4 years. So
Don't
need
worry,
to
you'll
pick
catch
up.
up for sure, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be good. Yeah. Also for working opportunities, it's good. And PhD
Yeah.
is one of those like, because getting bachelor and then getting masters is fairly easy and fairly common for people to do, but PhD is kind of the next big step.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Awesome. Kungfoorabbit, it was awesome having you. Thank you for coming on Twig. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And yeah, that's it for this episode. Anything you want to add as a closing statement, or are we
Mm.
good?
No, I think we're good. People like know the name if they want to find me. Same username everywhere, and hoping for a great expansion for Gwent in terms of content. Uh, well, I don't think I got a reveal. Otherwise, Ryan probably would have pinged me. So excited to see the reveal campaign like roll out, and
Yeah.
then the cards.
Yep.
So see ya somewhere on Twitch, everyone. Hopefully, yeah, with Gwent
Exactly.
if time permits.
Perfect.
What's your plans at the moment? Like anything
Mine.
big planned in terms of the reveal campaign, or is it? Are we
Mostly
expecting
to be
some reveals on Tweak next
to,
week? Or
maybe, but
okay,
we're trying to do the majority of them via people from the community. So I'm trying to
okay,
take as less as possible for things that are just for us. apart from like the last reveals, which we always kind of like to do part of the developer video. But for the majority of them, we want to give as many to community, so kind of let them drive it and kind of showcase them, and then we just repost them and talk about them. So for the next twigs, I'll be probably, going back and talking about them.
Okay, yeah, love being part of the reveal campaign. Hopefully, the platinum necker that we revealed with Pabs gonna find its way into Gwent to everyone's
Yeah.
I don't know, wouldn't say disappointment, but the card was broken. So yeah, it's gonna scare everyone. But yeah, so see chat. I tried getting some reveal information.
Yeah, hopefully like whatever, yeah, shout outs to Pops, because whatever he does is just like super awesome. But yeah, hopefully we'll get some cool stuff that kind of, fit the bill more or less.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for watching, and we shall see you most likely next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.